You can have the mic actually a little lower if you
Back in the loop.
Definitely good.
It's in the early stages of growth here, isn't it?
Yeah, it's in the early stages, so it's not that bad. All right.
Sweet.
All right. 3, 2, 1, and we are live. Welcome back to another episode of Back in the Loop. I'm your host, Bryan Major, and I have a guest to the right of me. If you want to introduce yourself.
Sure, yeah. Hey, everybody. My name is Elan, longtime friend of Brian's here. Happy to be on the podcast. Excited to talk about some cool stuff today.
Yeah.
So excited to get into it.
Yeah, definitely a long friend. We've been friends, basically, I would say childhood friends again. Like, I always have my childhood friends on here just to talk, and I feel like we have like great conversations. But,
Free content.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, free content. So it's always nice. So today we're actually going to talk about, just how do I say this?
Bit of everything.
Yeah, a little bit of everything, but mostly just about how you create good habits and kind of making yourself successful in the long run, make yourself a more well-rounded person. So, yeah, so let's get into it. So first question I got for you, or just like, so for personal development, like what habits have you developed that contribute most to your personal growth?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a lot of habits that you can kind of develop depending on the type of person that you are. But for me personally, a lot of those habits have to do with kind of grounding myself and like making myself feel good in times of stress. And I mean, every day we go out, we got, whether it's job, school, family, friends, it's a pretty, it can be stressful. It can be a busy day.
Exactly.
And so
Yeah.
building habits that almost help you step away from that and help you look into yourself and relax and find peace in the stress of everyday life is pretty important. So I'd say for me, one of those big habits. Now, I'm not the most consistent person with this habit. At times I am. I can go for a couple months where I really am good about these habits. And then, right now, let's say I haven't been doing these things that frequently. But
Yeah.
when I do get into them and I am pretty consistent with them, they really do help me just in about all facets of life. So for me, like these things like meditation, yoga, reading, and just anything that kind of pulls me, especially nowadays with technology.
I know, when
and
we're
the
all
amount of
stuck on our
time I
phones.
spend, at work, on the screen, on social media, on your phone. That's why you got to get rid of social media, because it's just so much time. And but I think really being able to pull yourself away from these things and spend time alone with yourself doing things that make you feel good is really important.
No, I agree. I definitely agree with that. I think a lot of the times we are often so glued to the screens of our phone. It's I kind of call it like I have this saying with just like friends and stuff. I call it just brain rot. Like how long
Yeah,
have you
brain
how
rot.
long have you had brain rot today? Honestly,
My
'cause,
brother and
like,
I were talking about that this morning,
yeah,
actually.
dude,
Yeah.
it's like a weird concept where you just like, I mean, obviously the scrolling gets addicting, and then so we have all the short form content where it's just like, oh yeah, I can see a 30-second video, 30-second video, 30-second video, and you don't think any time's going by, but like hours have gone by, and you're just like, bro, I just sat in my room just watching.
Yeah, I think another thing too is like developing habits that don't, I guess, elicit or don't create that instant, like you said, 30-second gratification. Like, oh, I watched something for 30 seconds, now I scroll to the next thing. And, your brain is constantly occupied and like constantly being fed, dopamine,
Yeah, that dopamine,
whatever. Like your
yeah.
attention span becomes so short. So I think like picking up habits that require a little more like intensive focus, and like you really have to go out and, okay, for these 10 minutes, even if it's 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is, okay, like you got to understand maybe this habit is not as
Yes,
I don't know
I guess like
the word I'm looking for is
instantly
like
satisfying, or
fuck, what's the word I'm looking
I know,
for?
it's like I get what you're saying, but
It's like you're just being stimulated.
yeah,
Not as stimulating.
easily stimulated. Yeah.
Finding things like that I think are really good for like achieving that balance between fast-paced life and just kind of, especially at the end of the day, if you had a really long day, like how do I go from having a really stressful day to kind of relaxing and getting in mode where, okay, I got to get rest tonight, I got to sleep. How do I come down off of, I had all this stuff to do at work, I had all this shit going on in my life. How do I channel that and really pull myself back to myself.
No, yeah, exactly.
I don't know if that makes sense. But
that makes a lot of sense. Recently, I've been going on like afternoon walks.
Walks are
Are
that's a
where
good
it's
one.
at, and it's like for me, it's a sense of like peacefulness, but also I don't know if I'm kind of weird, but I talk to myself. Like I have like little conversations with myself, kind of like to put myself out of myself, if that makes sense.
No, that
like,
makes sense.
So I have like little conversations, and it's kind of like reflection conversations that I'll be like, oh, in this situation, could I have done something differently? Or maybe I just talk to myself about like, how do you think the day could have gone, or how do you think the day could have gone better if you would have changed this or changed that? But honestly, I feel kind of bad for the people that don't have an inner monologue, because like they're kind of just talking out loud to themselves.
Right.
But yeah, no, I think that is definitely a certain way to help me kind of cope with my emotions, or and also understand my emotions as well. To so that's why it's a better habit for me to now going on these walks, where it's like I have that. It's also that good alone time, and also that sense of nature, and then I'm getting exercise at the same time. So it's like a triple whammy, like.
For sure. Yeah, and I think one of the things I was thinking about, before coming here and sitting here, was like, we spend so much time every day, like when we're doing other things, for example, like when we're doing something else that needs to occupy our thoughts and our minds, we spend so much time pushing out like our internal thoughts, or like these things that pop into our head that we're trying to think about. And it's good to be able to do that in like everyday activities when you don't necessarily want to be focusing on the thoughts in your head. But it's also important for a small period of time every day, or once a week, whatever it might be, whatever you feel comfortable with, spending some time like actually putting some energy into those thoughts and thinking about them, like on your walk, right? For you, it's the walk. For me, maybe it's, I spend 10 minutes doing the meditation, or, reading or journal, whatever it might be, whatever form of kind of
like, I guess, yeah,
like solo time that you can give to yourself to help yourself like go through those thoughts and unpack what's going on. That's an important thing that I think people should really try and come back to. I feel like everyone in these days and in the last few years with everything, I mean, lots going on in our lives too. Like we're coming out, got to look for jobs, got to do all this stuff, and real life is hitting, like it's coming fast.
I know, for real.
And so you don't always have time to think about, hey, what's going on up here?
Yeah, what's going on in my head? How am I actually feeling as of right now in this like moment or situation?
For sure.
So to kind of piggyback off that, what are some resources or kind of books, courses, or mentors, or like what's been like influential in your journey through finding these habits and centering yourself?
For sure. I think a really good book that everyone should read is called Atomic Habits. Speaking of habits, by James Clear. That book really goes into like the process, I would say, of building a habit, like a good habit, from the ground up, because bad habits are easy to form and good habits are usually a little harder,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's hard every day. I'm tired, but hey, I got to get up and go to the gym. But it's very easy to just wake up and sit on the couch, and like bad habits, or not
things that keep you in your comfort zone, I would say.
Comfort zone, yeah, you're right. Comfort zone is the right way to put it, because I don't want to say doing this or doing that is a bad habit, because it's not, right? Everyone, it's good to sit on the couch every once in a while.
Exactly.
But I think things like like almost like that takes a little more brain power, like doing something creative, like this, for example, right? It's not easy to go every weekend or every day and get someone to come in and do the podcast and bring questions in. But I think for me, this book really kind of talks about starting with, hey, for 2 minutes, I'm going to do this, and I'm just going to do it for 2 minutes. That's one of the key things it talks about. I'm going to go to the gym for 2 minutes, and after the 2 minutes, I'm going to leave. So if you tell yourself, hey, I'm going to go for 2 minutes, that's not that long. Like you can kind of convince yourself, oh, I'm going to do whatever activity I want to work on for 2 minutes. Whether it's like, oh, I want to learn this language. Okay, I'll spend 2 minutes on it. By the time the 2 minutes is up, you might feel like spending another 5 or 10 minutes on it. So really, if you can get in your head that you're only going to do this for a short period of time, and this is just one of the things that it talks about, but like building from a very small level into larger and bigger things is kind of the key of starting the habits in that book, at least.
I think another thing is like I didn't read the book, but there was this video that I watched and kind of was on that concept that this one guy he went to the gym every day. He just went like literally just walked in and then walked out and left, just to create that habit of like him going to the gym. So I think honestly, I don't know if I looked this up, but don't quote me on this, but it takes about 60 days to actually form a habit. And don't get me wrong, like 60 days is a long time. That's like 2 months.
2 months.
2 months to do something consistently to then create a habit. And then it's not even like it'll stick. It doesn't always stick too. Like sometimes like,
It's
you
tough.
have this habit and then it's just like sometimes life happens and then, it just goes away. But it's just a long process to create those habits. But I think that is definitely a good book. And he has like from what I'm hearing is he has pretty good like concepts on how to create it and still like keep going forward. I don't know if this isn't really a resource that I kind of found, but I do spend a good amount of time on social media just kind of trying to study actually like short form content and content that really works. But I've been watching this gym influencer. His name is Baji. It's BAJ. Well, I say Baji, but it's BAJ. And he basically had this video, and it was about his why for the gym. So he ended up going on talking about his why. It's a sad story about how he always looked up to his brother, and his brother passed away. And he felt like after his brother passed away, he felt like there's no meaning in life. And then he ended up being like, no, like I want to better myself, so I'm not gonna end up giving up on my brother. So I thought that was like such a powerful thing, like for also like making good habits is like you should have a why for like why you're doing something or why you want to do something. And it could be, and he was even like, it could be the smallest thing. It could be the smallest thing. And someone could say your why is so stupid for instance, this example, why you want to go to the gym. But as long as you have that why that's also motivating you and kind of pushing you and giving you that extra step to create that, I think it's such a powerful way of thinking and a powerful way to start any habit that you want to do or any better lifestyle tips that you want to, implement in your life.
No, yeah, I would totally agree. I think if you don't have the why, like in this case, like that's a very personal, deep why for this guy here. And if you don't have that for a habit, it's probably going to be hard for you to, when things come up, like when it gets hard to continue, to kind of reground yourself and continue. So I think that's super important. And I guess something that I should work on myself is like, okay, why do I want to build these habits? Like, maybe that's why I'm struggling to keep them consistent now, is maybe I haven't found that why yet. But I think that's a good point. Like really like coming up with a good reason for doing things. You know, like why do I need this in my life? Why is this habit going to make me better?
Like that was such a small video, but I felt for me myself, I felt that was so impactful, and I was like, dang, I just came across some gold like in like a minute video. But I thought that was just like, it really kind of put it in perspective on like, I thought about like, oh, why do I even want to do this, or like, why do I even want to do a podcast? And I was like, oh, like maybe just because I like to create content and I feel like I have something to say. So I thought it was like, I don't know.
And that's enough of a reason.
And that's enough of a reason.
It doesn't
to start
always.
something.
It doesn't always take the biggest thing for you to want to do something. Like, it can even just be, hey, I don't know, I just kind of want to do it. Like, you know. But if that's your reason and if that's enough to keep you going, then I think that's plenty, right? So
exactly. So kind of going on to our kind of next question. So, what role does mindfulness play in your like daily life things and just how you go about living?
Yeah, I would say on some days it plays a bigger role, and on other days not so much. But I think that it's important to not always be on autopilot, if that makes sense. And I can kind of explain that. But some stuff that I've read and kind of just thought about myself is like, I feel like a lot of times, and I'll give like a good analogy for this, is like if you're driving somewhere for a long time, so you're on a road trip for like, 2 hours, you're on the highway for a while. I feel like not a lot of the times, like you're just in the zone, you're locked in, you're driving, you're aware of everything, but you're also, you're not. You're kind of just you're doing it while you're doing it. And
Exactly.
I think a lot of times through life, you know what I'm talking about when you're driving, you're like,
Yeah.
wait, how did I get here?
Yeah.
Like I don't
Yeah.
remember the last 30
Sometimes.
minutes.
Yeah. No. I also I recently posted this thing on Instagram, and I was like, sometimes I forget if the light was red or if it was green.
Right, like, oh shit, did I miss a stop sign?
Like
Not
sometimes.
really. I don't do
Yeah.
that,
Not
but
really, but it's like I'll think back. I'm like, dang. Like,
you know what I'm talking about though,
was
right?
that a green light? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
So I
Exactly.
think like that, like sometimes in life, like that happens, especially when you're doing some things over and over again. Like, okay, I got to go to class today. I got to go to work at this time. I've got my schedule. Sometimes we're on autopilot so much that we're not really thinking about everything that's going on. Like we're not really, I guess, like totally aware in the moment. And of course you're aware. Of course you're like, aware of what's going on. But I think like taking some time a couple times a day to just, even if it's 10 seconds, to just think about what you're doing, where you are, kind of how you're feeling for the day is important. And it can kind of allow for like a pit stop or like a check-in where, hey, I got to change. I'm not feeling great. Today isn't going as well as I've wanted to. Let me change my tires. Let me kind of get back on the road in a better point. And if you're just going throughout the day, you're not taking the time to really observe yourself and like think about how the day is going or how the month or the year is going. You might never realize that, oh, wow, I actually, okay, I'm not having a good time or this is going on in my life. So I think it's always important to check in with yourself and make, just have that internal awareness of your thoughts and your feelings and all of those things.
And I think
I don't know if that makes sense,
that does
but
make sense. It's important to kind of being able to, like I said, keep yourself centered, but also sometimes you're not always going to be mindful. Like you're not always
of course,
going to be in that mode of just like, oh, I'm thinking about everything that the world's offering me, everything that's in
of
front of me.
course.
But having those like check-ins and where it could be like once a month or it could be once a week, depending on what type of person you are. I think those are just important. Like I would honestly say like checkpoints. So it's not like you're just going through the motions, because you never want to feel like you're going through the motions, because then you're going to end up feeling like, what's the meaning towards my life, or like why, like I'm not even feeling happy every day. Like I'm just doing it just to be doing it at this point.
Yeah, I think like, you know, making sure that you're following the path that you want to do requires that checkpoint. So like, and we can loop it back to the habits. Like if you're trying to build a habit, but it's not going the way you want to, or maybe you're not getting out of it what you need, check in. Okay, am I really enjoying this? Do I really want to keep continuing this? Because maybe a year down the line, you're still doing the same thing, or you're still in the same position that you're in, and you haven't checked in and asked yourself, if is this really making me happy? Is this really like what I want to do, or like how I want to be bettering myself? And if you can do that at periodic intervals, then I think you'd be able to have a better understanding of like what's going on with yourself and like the things that you're doing.
No,
We only got 24 hours in a day.
yeah,
So
I
like,
know. I think also you'll be
how do you want to spend it?
just more emotionally sound too. Like I feel a lot of people don't understand their emotions, and it contributes to being mindful and like understanding what's around them and like what they're experiencing. So I feel like that also gives, like, being mindful also contributes to giving a peace of mind at the end of the day about like, oh, I know how I feel, and I know if if I'm not having a good day, I know I could change it the next day, instead of just like wallowing in that day of just like, oh, like I'm so like depressed, or I'm so sad, or I don't know, something just wasn't right today. So honestly, I think mindfulness is just definitely important, something to keep in mind, but it shouldn't be just always in the forefront, like, oh my gosh, like what's going on, like what's happening. But I think it's just
Yeah.
definitely a good kind of like I said, habit or skill to
Checkpoint.
have. Yeah, yeah, just a
Checkpoint.
checkpoint. I this is like a random segue, but I was also watching another video, and this one guy, he was like, isn't it kind of insane, or isn't it kind of weird that like I can from my perspective, I see everything. Like I'm the only one seeing what I'm seeing from my perspective, and like my hands are moving, or like I drive to this spot and there's a whole different place, or just stuff like that. And I was like, I was I was over here like tripping for a second. I was like, am I the only one like look at this video like what's going on, like like I'm like, yeah, that's kind of makes sense.
Are you
but
saying like you're the only one experiencing things for yourself, like, or like,
yeah,
or like
he was basically kind of saying
like
like,
everyone has their own experience?
yeah, everyone has their own experience, and it's crazy how you can never experience what I'm experiencing at the same time, even though we could be in the same moment. I'll never know how you feel in that experience,
Yeah, it's crazy.
which is like weird.
I think you just always gotta be perceptive of like different people reacting based on how they grew up, based on their culture, based on their like chemical makeup in their brain, whatever it may be. Like,
It was just
everyone's different.
in my opinion, it was just a weird concept. I was just sitting there. I was thinking for like a good 5 minutes. I was like, huh. Like, I wouldn't really have thought about it like that, but now that you put it that way, like how, like, okay.
Fair enough.
I just thought it was like a kind of
That is funny.
good little thing. So being on this whole mindfulness and kind of being a well-rounded person, can you share some strategies for managing your stress and just kind of preventing burnout?
Yeah, I would say I think that there's people who like I personally I would say I don't get like extremely stressed out. I do for sure. I do experience stress and stuff, but I
Right.
think there's people who have different levels of like stress reactions, and so you might be somebody who in times of stress or a deadline or whatever, like you really get stressed out and stuff like that. And there's some people who just automatically kind of don't really have, what I'm talking about, like some people, there's different levels of
Yeah, there's
stress
different
that
level
people
of stress.
experience
Yeah.
based on similar things, right? Like everyone,
Exactly.
like we just said,
Like, let's
everyone
say-
experiences different.
I can give an
different
example
things.
to that actually. So let's say let's go for the school aspect. We've all been through school. Let's say you take a test and you're like, you know what? You're going into the test, it's just like, if I fail, I fail. If I don't, whatever. And I'm going into like, bruh, if I fail, like, I don't know how I'm going to recover from this. Those are like kind of, it's like a similar thing, similar stress. Like, you're like, whatever. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I feel like the world's ending on me because if I don't pass, then, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's I don't know, I won't
Yeah.
pass the class or whatever. But
Yeah, I think for me, I almost have to tell myself that, like, if we're talking about school, right? Like, I got this assignment. Yeah, it's a lot, but I know I'm gonna get it done. Like, I'm gonna have to put in a lot of work. I'm gonna have to put in a lot of hours, maybe sacrifice some other things to get this done, but I know I'm gonna get it done eventually. So why should I let that? And this is definitely easier said than done. Like, I'm not
Right.
saying this is easy to do, but I kind of just I try and give myself the mindset, like be mindful. Okay, like, I can't go around thinking about this all day, even if I have to work on it for X number of hours, or these things are bothering me or whatever. Like, I have to be able to find times throughout the day where I can step away from this and almost do one of these check-ins and just like kind of step away and say, okay, I know it's going to get done. And you can maybe it takes something for you to do that. Maybe you need to go out and go for a walk, or whatever it may be. But I think, like, if you can find something that allows you to just distract yourself and really like pull away from the stress, I think I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense.
that
But
totally makes sense.
I think
Like,
it's hard to, like, I mean, stress, look, so many people, I mean, in today's world, like anxiety is such a huge problem. You know, like so many people experience anxiety and situational anxiety, or like, you know, whether that's just their brain that makes them feel more stressed, you know, more anxious about things, whatever it may be. So I think it really depends on the person. But for me, yeah, like finding things that I know will kind of help me calm down, or just really just kind of putting it out of sight, out of mind for that hour. Once I put my work down for the night, okay, I can't think about it. I'm gonna work on it tomorrow for sure, and I've got a lot to do tomorrow. But as for right now, I can't let it bother me. I gotta go enjoy other things. I gotta go kind of just.
Yeah, having that,
I don't know if that makes sense.
having that aspect of just like, you know what, like I know I have a lot of work to do, but I still have to enjoy other things. Like, you know what I mean? The work has to get done regardless on at whatever deadline or whatever day you got to get it done. But at least you know that at the end of the day, you have other things that are gonna bring you joy. And what I do to prevent stress or burnout is not recently, but I think I've had this for like a year or so. Like when I'm feeling really stressed or like anxiety is just at an all time high for I don't know what type of reason, I have this like breathing technique. Is just like where I breathe it, I inhale, hold it for about 7 seconds, and then blow out for like 10 seconds.
This is like box breathing.
It's kind of, yeah. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
I do box breathing just to kind of like, first it'll like it lowers my heart rate.
Yep.
And it gets me in that mind where it's like, okay, like then I have the capacity to end up being like, okay, why am I stressed in this moment? Is it really so serious that I need to be
You're being mindful.
I know. Like, is it so serious that I need to be like really high like energy and really like high emotions right now, or is it something that I could just come back to? I could take a little break from, come back to, and then be like solve the problem or finish whatever
Right.
I'm doing at that time.
Right.
So
Yeah. No. I mean, another kind of segueing back when you talked about, you know, what books or what resources have I used. Another book that is really good is called Breath by James Nestor, and he kind of talks about those things too. Like literally the way that you breathe can help like chemically change your body. And, you know, it's great, you know, certain ways of breathing can help with health, but also like with reducing stress chemically in your brain. And one of the things was like the box breathing. Like there's different ways of getting your breathing under control to help you kind of mitigate that stress.
I don't know. I think Marines do that. I think Marine SEALs. I think they do that.
Like
I think they practice that just to like.
I mean, imagine you're in a high stress situation. That is a high stress situation.
Yeah, for sure. If you're in the field, no. But yeah, no. I think I've adopted that, and it's funny because I just saw it on social media, and I was just like, "This is so stupid. Like, why this don't do anything for me? Like, I'll just breathe normally, whatever." But then I started trying it out, and just like I gave it a chance, and I was just like, you know what? Actually, this like has helped me like
good.
exponentially in kind of like my self growth and self improvement. So I definitely, if anyone is like out of ideas on what to do, if you're feeling really stressed, I say do that, try it out, and see how you feel after.
For sure. And I think on your point of like preventing burnout, like do you have any particular things that you do? Because I feel like for me, like I get burnt out very easily. Like I lose focus. You know, I get tired of things, but something that really helps me is like if I have a lot of stuff to do, and I guess a lot of this applies to schoolwork since we just kind of finished up school. So
Yeah.
this is kind of biased towards that, but even for like work or, you know, things where you really need to sit down for a few hours and get stuff done, which I feel like applies to a lot of people. I mean, you know, people have to spend a couple hours doing some stuff here and there. But for me, I like to set timers on my phone for like, it can be whatever you want, like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour. I like to do like an hour to an hour and a half on my phone, and I'll put my phone on the other side of the room, and I'll work for like that amount of time, like for an hour and a half. And the first like 10, 15 minutes, it's hard to focus for sure. Like I part of me wants to just get up and like go do some other stuff, or, whatever. But if you just kind of force yourself to stay seated, kind of like the whole habits thing, like the first 2 minutes are the hardest, maybe the first 10 minutes are the hardest, but you can really stay focused and, hey, I'm going to do this for 30 minutes. At the end of the 30 minutes, okay, wow, like I spent 30 minutes doing this, like I got a good chunk done. Get up, set like a 5-minute timer, 7-minute timer, whatever whatever feels comfortable for you. Get up from your desk, whatever you're doing, and go walk around, like get moving, go drink some water. I wouldn't say like go jump on your phone and go on social media or go, hop on YouTube or whatever it may be, but like doing something active in between these sessions, like walking around or, maybe I'm going to hit 10 push-ups, whatever it is, or I'm going to do 5 minutes of yoga or 5 minutes of breathing in between my sessions, I think that really helps me, at least when I have a lot to get done. Like I can spend, 3, 4, 5 hours doing work with taking these interval breaks, and it just keeps me going.
To answer your question on that, on just when I have burnout, I have a lot, like when it comes to editing, I have a lot of burnout when
Editing
it comes
is
to
tough,
editing.
yeah.
I enjoy editing, but it's like sometimes I get at a point where I just plateau and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I've been hearing myself, or I've been hearing a voice for an hour or 2 hours, and like I like that idea that you had, and I kind of do that too sometimes. I'll set an alarm and I'll be like, set an alarm for like 5 p.m. I'll start at maybe 3. I'll start at 3. I'll set an alarm for 5 p.m. And then once that 5 p.m. goes on, if I feel as motivated to keep going, then I'll just like ignore the alarm. But if it's just like, oh my gosh, I'm dreading this right now, then I'll stop. I'll probably take 30 minutes, and then I'll just do whatever. Maybe get some food, drink some water, and get my mind away from a screen, or just like thinking about
Gotta
editing.
get away from the screens, dude.
Yeah, the screens are the worst,
Anyway,
honestly.
sorry.
But no, yeah, exactly. So that is definitely a good tip. Just kind of setting alarms so it kind of
Working in intervals.
There you go, working in intervals.
Using your checkpoints.
Yeah, working in intervals is definitely like I would say the way to go, and it kind of keeps you. It just keeps you like in the race. Really, it keeps you going in the race. Like like
Keeps you in the race, man.
Yeah, you pass the first lap and you're feeling good in Mario Kart, and you hit the second lap, and then you're on the home stretch when you're on the third. Like it's all gonna be okay.
Yeah, then you're right at the end and you get hit with the blue shell.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to say that happens a little too often, but just so kind of to keep going on,
Yeah.
how do you define success and fulfillment in your life?
That's a good question. I was looking at this one when you sent the questions to me. I honestly don't. Here, look. I think you'll know when you like have fulfilled what you want to fulfill. But I feel like I'm so young. I feel like I don't really know what I'm gonna do with myself yet. That it's hard for me to like set a. I think it's unrealistic to set this target of this is how I know when I'll feel successful, or I'll feel like I fulfilled what I wanted to do, when I haven't really even. I don't really know what that means yet. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
I know exactly what you're
saying. But I think like to that point though, I think like if you can find happiness in the things that you're doing, or relaxation, or like comfort, I think that's like a starting point for like, okay, like I must be doing something right. If I genuinely like am happy to do these things, or I'm happy with what I've experienced and with the friends I made along the way and the people I met along the way, and most importantly the things that I learned along the way, about myself, about other people, about skills, about just whatever. I think that's when you'll be able to kind of ask yourself the question, what do I really how am I going to fulfill? What was that?
You're like, what was the question? Hold on.
How do you define success and fulfillment in your life? Right, basically.
Yeah, exactly. No.
Then at that point, you'll be able to go ahead and maybe define somewhat what that really means to you.
How
You
I,
know?
how I internalize that question that I made up is just fulfillment. There's, like you said, there's levels to types of fulfillment. Like there's like long-term fulfillment, there's short-term fulfillment, and then there's like kind of in that middle, like, okay, I know I'm reaching this to reach to my end goal. So it's like that middle point. And I define like short-term fulfillment like let's say if like I hang out with my friends and I am looking around and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful. I have that like kind of like instant fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
But as in success, I would say I'm successful. I feel successful if I finish, I guess, like maybe finish projects, maybe I get an award or just like little things like that. I don't think in the grand scheme of success, like I think I've already achieved. I think I am pretty successful. I think that living this life is already a success. Being able to have like a good group of people around me and people that I can talk to, people I can bounce ideas off of is already success for me. But
Right.
it's always like it's kind of like a challenge, and you kind of figure out like, oh, like what's my purpose, and then you figure out like your whole like grand scheme of like, oh yeah, I'm so successful. But I think it's like for me, I internalize the question is just like instant and like little successes
Interesting.
to get to
Yeah.
the big picture. Because
Yeah.
I don't know what.
Yeah, we got no clue.
Yeah,
Yeah, no
I have actually no clue.
Yeah.
Like I have no clue what I define success
Right.
is. But I take little things, and like, oh, I had a successful trip. Like, oh, this trip was the best trip I've had in a while, or oh, I just had the best experience with my friends, just like stuff like that.
Yeah, and I'm right now I'm thinking of how to phrase this next sentence, but I think based on what you just said, it gave me this idea of like, in my life, I feel like in order for myself to feel fulfilled, I need to achieve and like kind of recognize success from myself. Like, I want to make sure that I'm considering the things that I'm doing successful, and like to my own standard, not to anybody else's standard, but like to my own standard, that was a success, or I was successful in this aspect. And then I think if you're not comparing yourself to other people's level of success, which is what does that even mean, success, right? Like, it's different for everybody. So I think if you're able to define and I'm trying to think of how to say this, but like define and almost like,
I guess you'd say like,
you know what I'm trying to say?
yeah, I guess you'd say I would say define and recognize what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
Then
Yes.
then
you can kind of build off of that and say, okay, like based on my own experiences and like how I feel about the things that I've done, I feel kind of fulfilled.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think that feeling fulfilled and feeling like you have been successful is very difficult to do when you compare yourself to other people, and when like you set standards and you set these bars based on things that don't really have to do with yourself. Like, I feel like you kind of
comparison kills.
kills.
Like that's all I could really chalk it up to. Comparison kills, because if I compared myself to every person that I came across and everyone that I know, there's absolutely no way you are going to be happy with anything you do, because you're going to think about what everyone else is doing.
And I think that's why too, like, I just think social media really shows people, like, allows you to compare really easily to people who,
Yeah, recently, as I've been kind of studying social media and just like looking at it, and it's just like I understand why it's so easy to try and compare somebody's life, or like compare like what you're doing to somebody else, because honestly, a lot of people are realizing this, but a lot of people don't realize that social media is the glamorized life of people. And people show mostly on social media, people show all the great sides of life. And then sometimes people glamorize the sadness in life. And I really was like, I really was locked in. I was like, dang, like we really are just trying to glamorize any part of life just to share and sometimes monetize. I know not everyone has that, that instant thing of like, oh, I just want to make money off this. Oh, I just want to be famous. But you know what I mean? Like that's kind of what we do on social media. We just like to share and we like to glamorize the different aspects of life, whether that's sad, happy, like
share and compare.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I thought that was just so interesting. That was interesting about like what I kind of thought about on why social media is so impactful for people and why people that are so glued to social media aren't as happy. Now we're gonna get on to just a different segment, some hypotheticals. I have a bit of questions, but so would you rather be incredibly witty and outgoing, or quiet and incredibly intelligent, or just stay the same? Just stay how you are.
I'm gonna go stay how I am.
Stay how you are.
Stay how I am. Yeah.
Okay. What reasoning?
I feel like I'm already pretty outgoing, and I guess I'd consider myself like a relatively smart person. So I'm gonna pick and pull what I like from those.
Yeah. I don't know though, but because I'm witty to a point, but I'm not incredibly witty. So if I'm incredibly witty and outgoing, I could essentially have banter with any person on this planet.
Yeah,
that's
true.
For me, I'm outgoing to a point, but whatever. And then quiet and incredibly intelligent.
I don't want to be quiet.
I don't want to be quiet. I want to be able to.
Because then I'm just boring.
Yeah, you're just boring at that point. Like, what do you have to offer? Just because you're smart? Like,
damn, Brian's really just getting worked up here. Look at him.
I'm just saying. Like, who cares? And then stay the same. I mean, like, I could be better. So I'd say I'd go with the first one. I go incredibly witty and outgoing. I think I keep it like that.
Fair enough.
I love myself, but I could love myself a little more. But no, I'm just
what does that mean?
Oh, yeah. All right. So next one is, what if you wake up one morning with only the clothes you're wearing in another country and unfamiliar with the country's language? What are you doing?
Oh, dude, I'm excited, man. That sounds awesome, dude.
You're wearing shorts and t-shirt.
Well, it depends where I am. I mean, if you put me in fucking... Excuse me. If you put me in Siberia, or that's not a country. If you put me in the north part of Russia, then in the winter, okay, I probably won't be excited, but...
Do you know how gloomy Russia is, though? Think about that. Do you know how gloomy...
Well, Russia was just an example, right? Like, if
I know, but if you end up in Russia, you know how gloomy Russia is. Like, it's
like in what sense? Like,
it's just like... I mean, I've never been to Russia, but
you're saying
from all
the
pictures,
weather is
like,
gloomy.
Yeah, the weather's gloomy. Like,
well, you're wearing a London hat, so like, I mean, that place is pretty gloomy too.
London's not gloomy. It's actually pretty lively, honestly.
You're saying like the culture is gloomy?
Yeah, like kind of the culture is gloomy. Like they're kind of.
All right, well, Russia's a bit. I probably get canceled for that, for speaking Russia. Anyway, wait, no, wait, okay. What I meant to say was, I think I'd be pretty excited, because that's right up my alley, man. I love exploring. You know, if all I need, I mean, I wouldn't say like right now these are ideal clothes. I mean, I'm wearing like athletics shorts and a plain gray shirt, but
you'd fit in.
Depends though.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, depending on where you are, but you know, and
but I think that'd be cool, man. If I could just wake up one morning and I'm in a new place, I don't have to go on the plane. Like, that's pretty cool.
Fair. That's that's fair enough. Okay, so now, if you could, I don't know where you could fly, where would you fly to first?
I would fly to. Can I fly in space, or just on Earth? Like, 'cause it depends.
Let's go just on Earth, and then.
And how fast can I fly?
Okay, that's fair. What
direction do I fly feet first? fly like Superman. Like these are specific details, Brian.
Yeah,
No. In all seriousness, no. I think I would fly to. I think I'd fly. I think what I'd actually do is I think I'd fly to the top of Mount Everest.
Oh,
Don't gotta hike. That place is pretty dangerous, man.
that's actually interesting.
But yeah, I think flying somewhere that is not easily accessible by foot. It's a good choice.
No, that's a good one. I don't.
What about you?
Where would I go? Huh? I get that.
Also, wait, how would you feel if you woke up in a different country with those clothes on?
I'd feel pretty fly. I feel like I'm that guy. Like in the whole country, I'm that guy. If I just popped up, spawned into a country like this, I'd be like, damn.
You'd really think that? Anyway,
But,
no, for sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think I would like you said, I'd be excited. I'd be excited for the opportunity to just be in a different country. Honestly, I'd be very like language barriers are crazy, so I would.
it's just a challenge.
Yeah,
dude.
it'd be a challenge, but I'd catch on. You know.
I mean, unless it's like Swahili, then probably not.
Yeah, probably
Or
not. Or
Chinese,
or if they're,
Japanese.
like speaking in tongues. Like I could actually. Hey, the amount of anime I watch, I could definitely
I take it back.
understand some Japanese. But besides that,
I don't.
I think
Japanese is a cool language.
No,
though.
Japanese is amazing language. I think I could catch on.
Arigato. Isn't that right though? Arigato.
I mean, yeah. Wait, isn't that
Thank you.
that's
In Japanese.
arigato?
Arigato. Yeah. I thought you said you watch anime, bro.
I
thought you
do,
said
but
you
I don't.
watch,
I don't
you know,
really.
Japanese.
Dang, I don't really think about. I don't think about when they say thank you.
Chat.
No,
I guess audience. What do you think?
No,
I think I'm right.
I don't know.
Dislike if Elon's right. Like if Brian's right. You're gonna have like 1,000 dislikes on this video.
No, but back on the languages, I think the languages that are like the coolest, I think, are Japanese. Oh God. Japanese, Spanish, and honestly, Italian, or it's either between Italian or French.
Yeah, I think those are all good options.
Yeah,
dude.
those are pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know what
Pretty
I'd
cool
say.
languages. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
There's some
anyways,
crazy ones.
if I were to fly to one spot, where would I go? I would probably go. I would go to the Maldives, so I could say
that's a good answer.
just so I could say I've been. I could see how clear the water is, and I could see if I would really want to spend my money on a trip
to go there.
to go there.
Well, why would you need to spend your money if you can just fly there again? Sorry, guys.
You know, I didn't really think about that.
No. I think we have
a
a similar answer though. I think like going somewhere that's not easily accessible. Like,
yeah,
that
exactly,
is not an easily
exactly.
accessible
I don't.
place.
Yeah, it's not that easy. I don't have that money. So all right,
Maldives is cool. You should check out Seychelles. That's another cool place.
Seychelles.
Very similar, but it's in. I think it's off the. This is bad. I do know my geography, but it's off one of the coasts of Africa. So it's like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's super beautiful there.
I'd be down.
I've never been, but I've seen pictures. So yeah,
So I've been, but I haven't been.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. You know what I'm saying? You can be like, yeah, I've been.
Maldives is cool though.
You know, edit yourself.
Is that
in
the
a
place
photo.
with the huts on the water?
Yeah, well, that's
like
it has
Bora
the,
Bora,
yeah.
right?
No, I think Maldives.
It's
too.
probably everywhere.
It's probably just luxury, honestly. Okay, my last hypothetical for you.
Anyway, there's probably a lot to cut out in there.
Nah,
We'll see.
it's bands.
We'll
It's
see.
bands. It's
We'll
bands.
see.
If okay, so if a superhero, let's say a genie comes out of the sky, and he's like, you know what, I'm gonna grant you any superpower, but you have to come up with it. It has to be an original idea from your head that you came up with. It can't be just flying or super speed. It's gotta be something you created. What superpower are you creating?
So it can't be like a generic superpower. You're
It
saying
can't be
like
generic. Like, all right, don't get me wrong. You could
like
add
teleport is not generic, right? Or it is generic.
It is
So
generic, but if you said
add a twist to it.
yeah, if you add a twist
Like
to it,
teleport, and every time I teleport, I don't know, something
happens. Yes, you could do that because it's original. It's an original thought. It's an original idea.
All right. I think a superpower that I would like to have. This is a hard question.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
I know it's tough. It's a tough one.
Well, do you have an answer while I think?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Why don't you?
So
And I'll think about mine.
So, I would have a superpower to change clothes. So my superpower is if I made eye contact with somebody and snapped, I instantly change clothes with them, and their clothes are all in my size.
So that's how you'd be looking fly if you see someone that you like. You're like,
yeah, I'm instantly like I make eye contact, boom.
What if they don't look back at you? That's the challenge. Then
That's a challenge.
You should
of the
add
power.
that you can force people to make eye contact with you, so then you can do your power.
Yeah, but then I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking like like if people are looking at me in public, and I force someone to make eye contact, then it's just like you know what I mean. It's not. I'm thinking about something that look a little natural that people wouldn't notice, but it's like, oh, I have that superpower, and I like, and they're like, what?
That's
what happened?
such a specific. I was about to say Pacific. That's such a specific superpower.
I know.
For me, I think it would be cool. I guess a superpower would be I automatically understand every language. I just understand it.
Just anything like
Someone can speak to me in a language and like I just know it and then I can speak back.
Like you don't have to hear it at all. You just know every language.
No, like say like I get exposed. This is not a good answer. I'll just say that. Hold on.
I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to get you to.
No, I think actually, honestly, a cool superpower would be to be able to go underwater and be able to breathe and see when there's no light. So you can go down to the depths and explore the ocean, because right now I think we've explored a very small percentage of the ocean.
Yeah, no, I think.
So what's down there?
I don't know.
Who knows, dude?
I mean, you get to a certain feat and you just implode, so. Then
also I have to include in my superpower, no imploding.
Yeah, because you go to a certain
my body doesn't react.
Your
to
body
pressure.
just it can literally just implode on itself. But so I think
Backintheloop.
I think that concludes it. But I hope you guys did enjoy this podcast. If you guys are watching through video or audio, I hope you guys do enjoy. Well, let me rephrase.
Is it on Spotify too?
Yeah, it's on Spotify too. Yeah. Get hip.
I think I saw it.
But anyways, guys, I hope you guys do enjoy. My name is Bryan, and this is my friend Elan, and I hope you guys enjoyed. And also, stay back in the loop. I'll catch you guys in the next one.
Cheers. Thanks, y'all.
Peace.